Welcome. Welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. This is a transformation series, mind, body, and spirit. Today, we're going to talk about healing the mind. And for years, many times you could not hear that word along with the word of mental health or as it relates to psychology. It was just kind of like not connected. But now we're wiser and we now see that the word is very much connected to the psychology of the healing of the mind. Even the primal emotions that we have of anger and sorrow, grief, fear, surprise, disgust, all affect the mind or how we have empathy or love. So today we're going to have Reverend Dr. Wilson, psychologist and pastor, theologian, bishop. I probably could name a whole lot of things, but I'd say a person that's wise, and he's also one of our leaders for the mental health coaching here in Houston. And I'm going to let him say something about the healing mind today, because I think we're going to get the word and how it relates, both psychological and biblical. Thank you. So I'm going to bring on our own Reverend Dr. Corey Wilson. How are you this morning?
Doing good, Dr. Lewis. Good morning to you
We
and all.
know we're taping it this morning. We know that our audience is going to see it in the evening, but I just wanted to wish you a good morning.
Thank you. Yes, to all. And it's been a pleasure to be on this show, even in the past. And I look forward to the discussions today about healing the mind. This is
Yes.
huge because it's one of the things that's glossed over. We think that just getting through something because of the time that you've gotten through and you've gotten past, we
Mhm.
equate that to healing. Just because you've gotten through something and
Yes.
past something doesn't mean you got healing
Right.
while you were going through it. And that's a major misconception. And it comes up in how we think, how we operate, and how we feel. So I
Mhm.
can't wait to delve into healing the mind and what that looks like because it's no different than good medicine when you're sick.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
sick. That's what the
Mhm.
purpose of healing the mind is for. You need
Mhm.
medicine, but we need the proper
Mhm.
medicine. So I look forward to dealing with this topic today.
Right. So I thought maybe we could get started by looking at that some experts look at the chemistry and they talk about the brain and they talk about that, but just to make a distinction that yes, there's a chemistry of the brain, but actually the brain produces certain things in the um, frontal cortex,
Hmm.
and we have chemical excitations under certain circumstances. But then when we start talking about healing, then we have certain things to go on that brings on the change of those chemicals in the brain. And so the mind, I thought we would then just start talking about the mind itself, you see, and then what healing is.
Hmm.
So if you could share with me different perspectives on the mind.
No problem. In regards to, I'm going to use the mind like a highway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just think of the mind like a highway, but many where you have a lot of crossing intersections with one highway. If you live in Houston, you know you have 610 that crosses with 45 and 59 all at one area, and you got a lot of freeways kind of crossing each other, and all it takes is a blockage or stoppage or someone with a flat to cause
Mm-hmm.
major backup in every other highway or roadway, etc. Well, the brain is just the same in regards to how it fires. That's why it's related to as a chemical
Mm-hmm.
imbalance, and these neutrons, etc. They fire and they send different messages and they carry them, but it's a highway. So when
Mm-hmm.
something happens, like a traumatic event, there's
Mm-hmm.
a blockage that starts to happen, and it starts to hinder or slow, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes speed up. Where the pace is so fast, it's too fast for the rest of the body to keep up, and the brain starts going haywire. So in
Yes.
the way, you have to have methods, techniques, activities, prayer,
Mm-hmm.
start to get the brain back to operating in a very rational and less emotional way.
Right.
And
Right.
these are the things that cause it. So when you have hurt or pain, that's when you can knock your brain and the cortex off of its normal flow because
Mhm.
there's some hurt. Typically, when there's hurt, the brain then wants to follow another part of the brain that wants to deal strictly with how what just happened felt. And
Right.
that's when things can go haywire. I hope
Yeah.
I'm explaining this.
Yes, you are. You are. So, because the brain is a magnificent thing that we have been blessed with, and also given through our beliefs some sense of control about how the brain is going to function and how the emotions going to function. So, one of the things that I have been reading on is that we need to ask the question: what is it that brings on difficulty? What is it that we know as human beings, or we think as human beings, bring on difficulties? See, if we're gonna have distraught crises, emotions, and all that, what's really intensifying it, and what brings it on,
Hmm.
from
That's a
your
good
point of view? Mm-hmm.
no, that's a good point because here's what happens. God is so awesome in how he structured and made and created man in every aspect. I want us to understand this. He created the brain and put it inside of us, and it really compensates for everything. It does everything. The problem is when it's not operating properly, like the traffic jam on the highway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then, if you notice with the traffic jam, everything behind it that needs to go through is what? It's stopped,
Stopped. Mm-hmm.
right? So, just when something happens, it can cause some pain or some hurt physically and psychologically, emotionally. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens is the typical flow of everything stops. And then what happens in this accident or traumatic event, the part of the brain that goes with intellect, it starts to allow the part of the brain that's associated with emotions and feelings to take the
Mm-hmm.
wheel. And
Right.
that's not good. They
Right.
need each other. They need each other. But when it's time for you to use the intellectual side of the brain, it's only going to benefit you well when you allow it to be used. Just like when it's time for you to use the emotional part of the brain, it's
Right.
very beneficial when it's allowed to be used when it's needed. The problem in these traumatic events, we start using emotion when we should be using intellect. We start
Yeah.
using intellect when we should be using emotion. So things just get all crossed up. The problem is why the individual is going through this, they have no idea because this doesn't register to the individual like myself and Dr. Lewis is sitting and discussing from a conceptual standpoint and a theoretical standpoint. When it's happening to the individual, they have no idea. I tell you what, even though I know this theoretically, even myself, when something happens, it
Mm-hmm.
catches me off guard. I have
Yes.
to take a few steps back. It might be hours or days for me to put what just took place in context. So I, even having the knowledge of this psychology, have to still step back because I have a major conflict I'm going through. It's
Yes.
not going to be easy. It's not going to be easily seen for me to identify it like
Well,
we're.
the one difference is that, and this is what we all must know. We must know then that we can pass through, or that it can work, or it will heal. It would be healed. See, the belief that we will do that, even just the belief with that, helps the healing process. You
Correct.
see. Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So,
And
mm-hmm.
and what happens, the problem in this dynamic, when things get off, to be real clear, they're going to be off. Okay. And you take that into every other part of your life. But wait, here's the worst part of it. You already have some damage that hasn't been dealt with, but then you move forward, right? And you're still
Mm-hmm.
dealing with results and behaviors and feelings from a previous dynamic that hasn't been
Yes.
dealt with, right?
Yes.
But wait a minute, here comes tomorrow, right? And tomorrow brings new damage, okay? And tomorrow don't care about the
Like
damage.
yesterday.
All right then. And then, and then next week and next month. But wait, let's get even further. Let's continue to add to this onion. You got family who you love and care about. They bring their damage,
Right.
and it tops and goes on top of yours. Then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you're feeling overwhelmed, but you don't even know why. But this is
Yes.
the creation of why humans have so many problems and not knowing how to identify what they are. All we know is how to identify with the feelings and the
All that.
emotion that go
Now,
with
so what you just described is something that was missing, something that we do as human beings. We interpret. We doing something to what we're experiencing. We're interpreting it. We're judging it. You were saying some old stuff, some new stuff,
it. Hmm.
and we're giving different thoughts to it, beliefs that are bringing on some more feelings that we have. The poor little amygdala is
Hmm.
inflamed. It's burning up,
That's
right?
right.
So they want to
Mhm.
know why people running them down the highway,
That's,
shooting people.
that's it.
So they if they would start doing what we need to do is doing a lot of calming stuff
Hmm.
and a lot of gratification and
Hmm.
so if we start working on a lot of that as opposed to a lot of arguing and punishing and whatever,
Hmm. Hmm.
looking at that, maybe
Hmm.
we can move in a different way. So you were speaking of something about the onion.
Hmm.
So, they used to call that the pile up effect, or the different things of all the things that we think about. And I want to share this with you, and we could even use this as an example. And you can also see it when you do biofeedback, and I'll talk about that a little later.
Hmm.
But I have this young man that I had early this morning, and he's very ambitious, working in his health, and he exercises, he works hard, he's a veteran, and he's doing things. And we got to talking, and he's so angry with his dad. His dad abandoned him when he was a baby,
Hmm.
and somehow he had to live with his father at one time. And so he has this anger and hostility about this. And he's made promises to himself that he would not let that anger go until his dad leaves this earth.
Hmm.
Okay, but he doesn't. We were talking about what is it doing to you? How you giving that person power? How can you heal your mind? How can you heal yourself? With this. And so I think what we're talking about is something real of how you interpret that onion, how
Hmm.
you interpret it from way back. And that's a realistic circumstance,
Hmm.
realistic situation of
Hmm.
his thinking, his
Hmm.
judgment. Hmm.
Yeah, because in those moments of hurt, disappointment, excuse me, pain, first of all, that thought, just going to call it what it is, you're going to always feel like you are a victim.
Yes.
Okay, if somebody does something to you, your feelings and thoughts that's associated with that, you're going to think you're a victim. And I'm not saying you're not, I'm just
Hmm.
telling you how your thoughts are going to be. And the problem with that, when you feel that you've been a victim of somebody and what they've done or caused, you're going to hold on to the pain associated with what that person has done. Here's why you're going to hold it. You won't allow yourself to go around why this was done, because being a victim, you just feel as though that shouldn't have never happened. Okay.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
more you think down that road, how can they do this to me? This
Yeah.
shouldn't have never happened to me, right? The longer you stay on that road, you'll never get healing,
Never.
because
Hmm.
you're going at it as though it wasn't supposed to happen. And in your mind, because of their connection to you, be it parent, friend, the world, the government, leadership, whomever, who you thought shouldn't have never did certain things, you'll always hold them to the fact that you shouldn't have never done this to me. So no matter what, there's nothing you can do,
Yes.
nothing you can say that'll
Mm-hmm.
remove the pain associated. So because I continue to feel the pain, I'm going to continue to hold you completely accountable for then my everyday life for the rest of my life. Now, notice where I just took this. And
Right.
that's when you get a person saying, I won't forgive them until they die. Now, looking at it that way, got it. But here's the problem in all that. This is where you need the Lord in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because, first of all, coming to Christ, coming to God through Christ, you realize that the people that you hold accountable, the people
Mm-hmm.
you hold so near and dear, you know what He's going to teach you? They're prone to making mistakes.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
mama, as much as she loves you, mama gonna make some mistakes.
Right.
Dad, as much as he loves you, dad's gonna make some mistakes. So
Mm-hmm.
if you take a mistake that mom or dad has made in you or around you or to you and hold it to where you'll never let it go, that's really not rational in
Yes.
regards to dealing with all humans. So you're starting to put yourself in a mindset that's an unrealistic expectation, as though nobody that you depend on will hurt you.
That's right. And
It's
even he shared, he says the anger is fueling because now he has other children and
mm-mm,
he's just trying to be a good dad, but he
mm,
abandoned me. And when I
mm-mm.
look and see what he's doing there,
Yeah.
so I got this pain just intensifies,
Mm-hmm,
you see.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
and so what I
So
was
go
sharing
ahead.
with him is that you just said it that things change. So you're just talking about what should be now,
Mm-hmm,
what should have been then.
mm-hmm.
But now you're not looking at now that the person is a different person
Correct.
now than they were then.
Correct. Because you're going to focus on being a victim,
Your pain. Mm-hmm.
which is brought forth by your pain for the rest of your life if you don't start changing how you think and how you feel. Because let me be clear, when you want to hold that person to that mistake that they may have done to you some years ago, you just hit it. What if they change?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You won't allow yourself because of the pain that you're still holding on to from the dynamic from years ago or months ago. What if they come to you, want to ask for your forgiveness, and then get a second chance to show you who they are today? You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be willing or open to dealing with them anymore, even though they may have changed. And in your mind, you're going to think it's healthy because you feel as though you're getting something out of holding on to what they
Yes.
did to you in the past. The
Yes.
problem with that, the longer you hold on to it, if it
Mm-hmm.
happened to you in 2017 and it's
Mm-hmm.
2022, and you choose to continue to hold on and grip and don't want to let it go or let it be or allow them maybe forgiveness, which is what I'm going to allude to. But if you don't open your mind to going beyond what they did to you in the past, just to see what they are today, then you're reliving what happened in 217 every time you think about it. So it
Yeah.
might be 2022, but I hate to tell you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
psychologically and emotionally, for you, it's still 217, even though the year is
Mm-hmm.
2022. So what you don't realize, you'll be operating 5 years in the rear, holding someone to something they may have been in 217,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they're no longer in 222.
And the little chemistry in the brain is going in your body, is having your heart, your kidneys, and whatever. And then so then I have am praying
Mm-hmm.
and still holding on to it. It's like impairing. What can I say? It's like a willful holding on to something to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
allowing that person then to take hold of your body and your own thoughts. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like denying you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're praying for it
Mm-hmm.
to go. You're praying for something when you're
Mm-hmm.
praying. Why
Mm-hmm.
is this happening to me? I think
Correct.
that's what he said. Why did it happen to me this way?
Mm-hmm.
But so then that's when all of these problems will come. The person is talking about his body just drenches in sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's just messing him up. He can't do his work. He can't study. He can't read. Certain things trigger frustration and anger. So he's allowing his body to be consumed,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
see.
Mm-hmm.
And so we
And
talked
yeah,
about, I hope he listening today because
yeah,
it's
I
like,
hope and pray too, because this is very good for
mhm,
all of us. Okay.
yes,
There's
yes.
not a person on the planet that has
Mm-hmm.
not been through some immense hurt and
Mm-hmm.
intense
Mm-hmm.
disappointment. I mean, intense by the people you love dearly that you would
Yes,
never think, but they can make a mistake.
that they're just a human being.
They're humans, you all, and that's not giving them an escape. Because
Right.
see, when you're so upset and a psychologist or a spiritual leader, a pastor, try to tell you this, it to you, what I just said, what we're just said,
Mm-hmm.
what you just said, it sounds like we're giving them an escape.
Yes.
Not this is not an escape clause at
Mm-hmm.
all. This is
Mm-hmm.
reality, but this is the road to healing. Okay? And follow me.
Mm-hmm.
When you say in your heart and in your mind that I'm not going to forgive them, you just chose to stop your own healing.
That's right.
Listen to that.
Exactly. You need to
See,
repeat that.
see,
You have chosen.
you've chosen
You
to,
chosen.
to say to
Mhm.
yourself, any road or anything that'll lead me to healing, I just said I am not even going to consider it because of what was done to me. Now,
Right.
in your mind, you're thinking you're doing something to the individual by making that statement. You're also thinking, this is the way I'm going to safeguard myself so this never happens to me again. But
Right.
truthfully, you have just shut yourself off from your own
Mhm.
healing and
Right.
you don't even realize
And somehow I just don't have good relationships,
it. Mm-hmm,
no matter how I try.
mm-hmm,
The people, the people that I'm engaged with, somehow I just end up just being disengaged with them.
mm-hmm,
And they just don't understand me.
mm-hmm,
And not understanding how to hold your whole life
mm-hmm.
is being closed off,
Correct.
you see.
Because
So it's
see,
like a judgment for yourself. It's even
we,
toxic for yourself.
yes,
Hmm.
you just stop by saying what you're not going to let go in regards to them. You really said, I'm not going to take anything else in that's going to help me with this hurt. But you
Right,
didn't say that. You don't know you said that. But
right.
that's what you just said when you closed the door
When you,
on thinking around what that
hmm,
individual has done and
hmm,
caused
hmm.
you. And that's
That
the
was so
sad,
powerful what you just said. Hmm.
yes, because we
Hmm.
don't realize that that's what we're doing. You hurt yourself, my brothers and sisters, when you choose not to look beyond what's been done to you, when you
Hmm.
choose not to forgive the individuals for what's
Hmm.
been done to you. We think that's giving the person something. If Dr. Lewis, if you hurt me and I think about forgiving you, now let me tell you where these other thoughts come from. The devil is going to tell me, "Oh, don't forgive Dr. Lewis. She don't deserve it because if she really loved you, if she cared for you, or if she respected you or your position, it's going to go through all these dynamics to make
Yeah.
you more and more infuriated. And the more it tells me, if she was this, if she was that, I'm going to continue to be like, you're
Hmm.
right. That's right. And then I'm going to say, because if I was the one in her shoes, I wouldn't have never done that to her. See, all that's unrealistic
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
irrational, but you don't know that at the time because it's helping you feel soothed from your pain, but it's not good. Like
Hmm.
getting high. Okay. At
Hmm.
the moment, you think it's giving you comfort, but it's really not. Because soon
Mhm.
as that high wear off,
Yes.
things are actually worse than they were. And you
Yes.
end up by thinking you're hurting Dr. Lewis because of what she's done.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
end up hurting yourself by not forgiving
Mhm.
her. Because here's what's going to happen:
Mhm.
me not forgiving Dr. Lewis, it's not going to stop with Dr. Lewis and our relationship. It's going to
Mhm.
bleed
Yes.
into every other area in every other relationship, past, present, and future. So it's
Right.
going to have a major impact on every
Mhm.
other
Mhm.
encounter that I will ever have, but I won't
Mhm.
register that.
Mhm.
I'm just going to say, I don't get along with people. People don't understand me. Let me jump to this and I'm going to give it to you, Dr. Lewis. The other thing we start looking for when we've been hurt,
Mhm.
we're waiting on a card or a visit from that individual to get on their knees and say, uh, Dr. Wilson, I come today. I realize I hurt you 15 years ago, and I've been wanting to come and tell you I'm sorry for all the pain that I've caused.
Mhm.
That's why when you see your father who has hurt you, especially possibly with
Mhm.
abandonment, be in another family with other children, it continued to ignite because you're
Yes.
thinking he owes you something for you to even begin to consider forgiveness. And I hate to say
Mhm.
this, he don't.
Right.
And you might never get it. It's great, but you might not
Right.
ever get it. So what happens
Mhm.
if you don't get that? And the person has moved on, and the person has asked God for what
Mhm.
they did to you, the child, but they never have said this to you. They've come to you to start a new dynamic, but they
Mhm.
haven't really given you what you think you need to move forward.
And Dr. Wilson, sometimes they may not have even come to you to start. Maybe they haven't even started new dynamics.
Mm,
But the thing about it is that it's not your job to go over there and do that for him
mhm,
because you have given him the hold, the part that he has in you. You
mhm.
have given him the hold over the whole you.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
I got it.
So if it's really that harmful, you got to ask the question,
Hmm.
do I need to hurt more
Hmm.
than I need to change?
Exactly.
You
Let
see?
me, let me give you this story. I was in a training some years back in psychology stuff. And in this training, I think it was somewhere in uh, Missouri, the doctor, the PhD, she gave a story about her grandmother being raped, and as a young girl, and she said her grandmother held that for years, okay, and years, but she said she didn't realize how much damage her holding that rape did to her. So as she went on through the years, she said her grandmother went to see her grandma, and her grandmother told her, "What's wrong, baby?" She said, "Well, Mama, you know what was done to me, and etc. And I can't believe this, and I'm watching them just go." She said, "Well, baby," she said, "What? Did he take something?" She said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Just sit back. Did he take anything?" She thought. She said, "Well," she said, "Okay, are you still here? Do you still have your mind? Do you still have your heart?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing they chose to use without your permission, is it still there?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Well, baby, he didn't take nothing. He did something, but you're dealing with it
Mm-hmm.
like he still have something
Mm-hmm.
that belong to you, and he doesn't. So don't keep giving that person something."
Your spirit, don't give them your.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
She said right there, she broke because she didn't realize from what they did do that she went ahead and instead of that little thing that he did, they gave him everything. That's what she
Everything.
was
That's
trying to
right.
say.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
said from there, I began my healing because I was thinking like they took something from me.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
said, from there, that's when my healing started. When I
That's
realized they did
willing to
something,
be healed, willing
they
to be.
didn't take nothing. Exactly.
Hmm.
So I
That's,
see, go ahead.
that's why I ask people when they do a prayer to don't just do the prayer, say on the end what you're willing to do to
Hmm.
receive it, to accept it. What are you
Hmm.
going to do? You
Hmm.
see, because you can't even hear it unless you go be willing to say
Yeah.
to open up and do something. What you going to do?
Yeah.
See,
And I got to give us this too. From a spiritual standpoint, the world we live in, you all, it helps us to think irrationally in the wrong way.
yes.
Here's why. In the world, if something is done, they say we need to seek justice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Justice. Now, I got to tell you all, for those that may not be believers, okay, and have given their lives to Christ to follow what the Bible, the Word says, I'm a firm believer. So where I'm about to come from is from that. My belief in the Word of God through the Holy Bible and through His Son that He sent to die on the cross. So with that, in that, if something happens to me, the Lord teaches me that it's better to forgive than
Mm-hmm.
to hold. Why? Because if I don't forgive the individual, God
Mm-hmm.
says to me, how can you come to me every day with your mishaps in life and expect me to forgive you when I'm asking you to also forgive your brother or sister that has done things to you? Secondly, there's another part of the scripture. The devil makes us think that if I forgive the person, they're getting away with something, that they're
Yes.
supposed to serve justice. Mean I want some form of punishment to
Yes.
be inflicted upon the person that has caused me pain. And
Yes.
I'm thinking that if some form of punishment that I know about don't get inflicted, I'm wishing something will happen so it will finally relieve me so I
Mm-hmm.
can forgive them because they've been punished for what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, God taught me in the scripture, it says, for God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man or woman sow, that will they also reap. So
Mm-hmm.
follow me here. If the man or woman that have caused you pain, if you don't ever see them pay for what they've done to you via court, via justice, or not,
Mm-hmm.
listen to me. Whatever humans do, they may escape the justice system because nobody got to see them on tape. Nobody came forth to say that they did it. They might escape man, but they cannot escape God.
Right.
And let me say this, every one of us have to answer to God for everything we do, good or bad. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of this comes with us trusting in God that the person that hurt me has to answer to him. And when I trust God that he's going to deal with this for me, that's when I can get relief. I can forgive. I can let it go. And I'm no longer looking for justice to be served before I can let it go. I can let it be and trust that my
Right.
Heavenly Father is going to deal with the situation and he's going to deal with it the way he sees fit, not the way I would like him to.
So you're moving, see all of that, why me? And you have different kinds of questions. You see, what am I to do instead of why me? What
Mm-hmm.
is it that, what's my next step
Mm-hmm.
instead of it shouldn't be? You see,
Mm-hmm.
those kinds. So you have different kinds of questions that you can move through. And
Exactly.
and the thing that you made mention of, that you stated very well, if I can recant it, let's see if I can bring that up, is you were saying something like not validating, but waiting to see that person being punished.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps us in the holding pattern,
Correct.
you see. But we're
Correct.
mm-hmm,
Because every day, What are you waking up hoping to see? The person that's caused you pain to
Mm-hmm.
be held accountable, right? Do you know
Mm-hmm.
how much energy that takes?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a whole lot of it takes your entire day. If that's all, you can't work, you can't exercise, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't be in new relationships. Why? You're
Mm-hmm.
consumed every day with trying to track
Mm-hmm.
what is happening to the person that caused you pain. My brothers and sisters, that's a lot, and that is not healthy for you to
Mm-hmm.
be only focused on one thing. And I'm not minimizing the pain. That's not what I'm doing at all. Okay? But you cannot let that pain cause you to be with tunnel vision where all of life is happening. But because of that pain, you've reduced it to trying to track who caused you pain every day. That can turn into a decade. Secondly, the body,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Physiologically, biologically, God didn't make the body to withstand a lot of worry and a lot of things that we hold to people where we don't forgive. That ends up being, and it ends up causing you in your body, in your system, to go to an unhealthy place. So while you're waiting for something to happen to someone, things will start to happen to you.
Even depression, you'll
Yeah.
see it's a sense of dread that many of us will experience and many people describe.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't feel their energy level is low. They can't get out of bed or they can't
Mm-hmm.
get things done the way they want and have no idea that
Mm-hmm.
it is something about ought to and a judgment about somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
usually family members or
Mm-hmm.
someone on the job. You
Mm-hmm.
see. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So healing the mind. So what do we do with all this? Well, you got to get some good medicine. I mean, hey, you got to get something better that you say to yourself. Because I want you to understand
So,
something. This bad stuff you're doing and getting, you're giving it to yourself. So if you're giving yourself something bad that's causing you to get worse, you can turn that around and start giving you something better that'll cause you to get better. You're not going to get better until you start getting your better medicine. See, there's
this
another misnomer. Go ahead, Dr. Lewis.
this forgiveness that you're speaking about and
Mm-hmm.
the anxiety when we do biofeedback and you put the sensors on there, it's a miraculous thing that when they even imagine, when
Mm-hmm.
they've been talking about can't let it go,
Mm-hmm.
even when you put the sensors on and begin to talk about what it might feel like,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden the brain starts lighting up the monitor
Mm-hmm.
in terms of lowering the stress, and they
Mm-hmm.
can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one thing that I found when they pray and you do biofeedback, they can even see before they can internalize the prayer.
Mm-hmm.
That even convinces them even more that they can do it
Exactly.
because now they see the power of prayer and meditation,
That's
and
right.
also changing
Mm-hmm.
the thinking, something that's in standing in the way. You see.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back to that traffic jam.
Yes.
Just the thought of forgiveness gives
Mm-hmm.
you the thought of seeing your highway being open
Yes.
for the first time in years. And you
Mm-hmm.
haven't even went through the experience, just the thought of it. You now see movement again.
Yes.
That's fresh oxygen, fresh thoughts. That's
Mm-hmm.
life. So just the thought of it will give you better emotions and better energy. And God forbid if you let it happen
Mm-hmm.
and your highways open. Let me ask you something. If you
Mm-hmm.
reopen your highways in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
if God wants to give you some new cargo, and
Yes.
your highway is back open, it's easier for
Mm-hmm.
the cargo that God has that He shipped to get to you. But
Mm-hmm.
if you keep your highways closed,
Mm-hmm.
whatever God is trying to ship and send, it's got to come through your highway that you've closed.
Mm-hmm.
So what you don't realize You've even shut God out from helping you because of what the devil
Mm-hmm.
has done to you.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to reopen the channel so the barges and the ships and the shipments and the trucks, the trains
Mm-hmm.
can get through because they carry better stuff. But when you say that's it, I'm going to put a stop to all activity, your good
Yes.
that's beneficial to you won't be able to get through.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned something else. You said now what you're going to have to do, now that you see that's happening, you're going to have to start thinking something else. And so you holding on to this. So sometimes a simple thing of just taking it and saying what you just said about I'm not going to let go of blah 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 blah, and take it and just put it in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Just write it down and put it in a box, and then turn around over here, take a deep breath and meditate, and think about the highway. If
Mm-hmm.
I would just come up with something to
Mm-hmm.
unblock it,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
could I say? Well, I could say, I'm not right ready to say I forgive him, but right now what I could say is I refuse to allow him to take what's been given to me
Exactly.
inside of me. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna not allow this in me. So I'm gonna write this down and I'm gonna think of this, that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
allowing it to enter me and take away what I have now.
Mm-hmm.
To get
Precisely.
started with it. You see,
That's right.
on our way.
That's right.
Hmm.
And that's called medicine.
Yes,
Okay. Because
that's right.
before you told yourself, you're not going to do this, you're not going to forgive, and you're going to hold it, and you're going to block everything that can get in to make sure
Mhm.
you protect yourself. But this way, you just allowed new medicine. And you not only thought it, you allowed it to come in and
Mhm.
consume you, and you took that medicine.
Yes.
Okay. And now that
Sometimes
medicine,
it's like castor oil, but
oh my goodness. That
but
was, I don't know if you're old enough to know about castor oil, but that's
oh,
okay.
listen. Well, Dr. Wilson, I know you don't know. I know somebody told you about it, but
That's right. That's right. Look, is that or three sixes? Okay.
oh yeah, that three.
Woo.
Ooh. Mm.
And that's the thing. I'm glad you pointed that out. My brothers and sisters, hear us today. Medicine that's good for you don't always taste good.
Mm-mm.
Just remember that. And if your dynamic that has caused you not to forgive have left a bitter taste in your mouth, you can't say I'm not going to eat or drink anything else that's bitter, because some bitter things is actually good for you. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't stop taking medicine or operating and dealing with things and people because one have left a bitter taste. You don't
Mm-hmm.
shut everything else out, because just like the devil came and left a bitter taste, God might have something initially that tastes bitter that's going to leave some healing. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't be blocking the devil and at the same time blocking God, thinking you're being wise and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be precautious and I'm not going to do that. Well, you didn't block everything out, okay? Even your health. So, no, it's not easy. But medicine, things that's good, sometimes they're very bitter and hard to swallow. I got to tell you, but that's the best things in life. They
Mm-hmm.
come to bring nothing but healing and shift you to another way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
feeling, and behaving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
easy for you to get yourself off the track of thinking negatively, feeling negatively, and behaving negatively because something negative has happened to you that puts you on a track that you have to get off. And it's not going to be easy. So you're going to have to take some risks again to get off this track. But
Mm-hmm.
this is where the healing of the new medicine and
Mm-hmm.
thoughts start to come in.
So I think one of the things that you're saying is to judge less of other people, judge, not allowing the emotion of of judging and trying to predestine the punishment of another person, but begin to look at what it is that you need to do. You need to be in the present. Sometimes when we're so far in the past and we want this to happen right now in the future, we want this to go on, then we are moving away from what it is that we need to do to let go of some of the hostility
Correct.
that we have.
Mm-hmm.
The thoughts, not only the thoughts we have, but sometimes I think it has a lot to do with the esteem that we hold on ourselves, you see, and the things that we're allowing in. And the
Mm-hmm.
less we have esteem,
Mm-hmm.
the more we hold on to the negative judgment and the hostility.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
another tactic would be, while we're replacing the thought, is to kind of talk to ourselves about some things that we could do so we could know more of the word, so we could read more poetry or something that gives us a lift, or
mm-hmm.
words that we could just say to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to say what I could do without it, what
Mm-hmm.
I could do without holding on to this negative thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you see.
That's a good point because the act that's been done to you, in and of itself, it says that you're not worthy of getting anything better.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay, the act puts
mm-hmm,
you in a place of not being valued, honored,
mm-hmm,
respected. I got it. But you
mm-hmm,
got to say to yourself, even
mm-hmm,
though someone dishonored me,
mm-hmm,
disrespected me, that
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean that
mm-hmm,
I don't have value.
mm-hmm,
There's right now they got people that's called diamonologists, meaning they can look at a diamond through this little round thing and see if
mm-hmm,
it's real or not. And they're looking for the value. But there's people that can have a diamond but don't know how to see if it is a diamond.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
they can treat a diamond like a cubic zirconia, which is a piece of glass that's
mm-hmm,
been cut in the shape of a diamond. They give
mm-hmm,
off rays like a diamond. But if the individual that's handling in this diamond don't have the ability to see the value of what they're holding, they're going
mm-hmm,
to treat it like a cubic zirconia. But that doesn't mean because somebody has treated you less than what you are, that you're really less than what you are. That
right.
that person's inability to see you for what you were. So don't start to believe in how you've been treated as though you must be the way that they treated you. Don't believe in that.
Right.
That's where the mistakes come in. This is you're a diamond, but that individual did not have the ability to see you as a diamond. Everybody don't know diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can no longer give people the benefit of the doubt because you're a diamond. Everybody's going to see you as that and treat you as that. It's not like that in life. I wish it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like that. But please don't reduce yourself because somebody didn't see your value,
Mm-hmm.
undervalued you, and then treated you as such. Don't follow that anymore. Yes, it happened, but that doesn't mean you were worthy of being devalued or undervalued. It was
Mm-hmm.
that person's inability not to see what you were. Now, listen to this, that person is gone. And guess who's devaluing you now?
Mm-hmm.
It's you.
You. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a different way of thinking that we all need to get because we all have been devalued in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let that be your value that you believe in
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Even when the world or someone you love, trust, devalue you. It doesn't mean you're not worthy and you don't have value. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's about what you think
Mm-hmm.
about you.
Mm-hmm. And let go of a lot of the harsh things that we say to ourselves, or the criticism, the demands we place on ourselves. And
Mhm.
sometimes, I was listening to the little young man, and he was like, he can't even his social anxiety.
Mhm.
He just can't go out. He just doesn't feel worthy of everything. He doesn't know that. He doesn't
Mhm.
really see the wide span of the situation yet. But into how to come back and start saying things that are self appreciating
Mhm.
Okay, so that he can get rid of those ugly judgments of
Mm-hmm.
not being worthy or valued by somebody he wanted to be valued by.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
mhm,
And
mhm,
that's what makes this difficult. So there's a lot of self-work that God is expecting the individual to do, just in case the world isn't willing to do the work to grant you what you think they should have initially. Don't
mhm,
wait for the world to
mhm,
see you, respect
mhm,
you, and value you.
mhm,
You better see you, respect you, and value you, because the world might not. And just in case they have mistreated you, you got to forgive them,
mhm,
because there's things that you are blind in and
mhm,
ignorant to. And then you grow. And then you say, wow, I didn't realize this was this. And you just make the shift. Well, you have to
mhm,
allow other people to do the same thing. But please don't hold on to their devaluation of you from the past.
mhm, mhm,
Don't hold on to that. Hold on to your evaluation of you. And I
mhm,
hope and pray that it's accurate and it's not based on what somebody else has said or done to you or caused you in the past. Reevaluate yourself.
mhm.
Make mistakes all the time.
We talked about it on another show about when things aren't going your way or whatever, how you, when you, the person that you're looking at, whether it's family member, whether it's friend or whomever, that you begin to surround yourself with people who value you, to
Mhm.
help you value yourself and that you value. And when you surround yourself with people who have good word, that generally it will reinforce what you're doing, make it better,
Mhm.
make it stronger.
Mhm.
Okay. And sometimes we fall the other way.
Mhm.
Sometimes we center because of the hurt that we have. We
Mhm.
center around people who make us know the hurt
Mhm.
because we want to hold on to it.
Mhm.
So we repeat, and I call it gossiping. We do a lot of
Mhm.
other stuff. So
Mhm.
that's like keeping the hurt.
Mhm.
So one of the things that is helpful that you mentioned is earlier, it would be surround yourself with people who can give you constructive criticism,
Mhm.
who are not telling you what you want to hear all the time,
Exactly.
who can bring you back to the center,
Mhm.
you see, and those kinds of things, but that they have your best interest in mind and they're
Mhm.
centered in the word, you see,
Mhm.
in the belief.
That's right.
And so that really helps with this whole situation of being able to value yourself
Right.
as well.
Because
Hmm.
what happens in that state of mind that's not good for you, you want to be you want to constantly identify with your pain and your hurt. And that's why you hang around others that speak from the same place.
Hmm.
But the more you identify with your pain and your hurt, the more you're not identifying with the healing that you
Hmm.
need to get from your pain and for your pain and your hurt.
Hmm.
But you want to identify with it because you feel that that makes you feel better, that things people understand. You
Hmm.
think that's why you're still hurting, because nobody understands. When in essence, they might. But the way you deal with pain, it ain't constantly trying to relive it to understand it. It's moving past it.
That's the pastor.
Okay? And in that, that'll make you think people don't care. No, 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 no. They care. They're just
Hmm.
trying to nudge you along.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But instead, you want to sit with people that
Yes.
want to continue to stir that pot of
Yes.
pain.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Hmm.
And you think the more it's stirred, the more it stays warm, it's
Yes.
helping you because you can relate and they can relate, but it's
Hmm.
really not. You got to stop that pot. You got
Hmm.
to take it off the burner and dump it. You
Hmm.
got to get a new pot. And the
Hmm.
thing that needs to start stirring is not your pain, but it's your value.
Yes.
It's your new perception. It's your forgiveness. That's what needs to be in this new pot. Because all that is going to bring healing. Your old pot doesn't bring healing. It'll have you going in circles, reliving the traumatic experience over and
And
over
over.
and over again.
Hmm. So you know what, Pastor? I was going to ask you, but I'm going to start some. So what you're saying is, and then I'm going to ask you for your last word that we would leave them. So you're saying we really need to pay attention to what our thoughts are, uh, remove ourselves from holding on to negative thoughts, um, to shut down anything that's taking us away from our centeredness, maybe even uh, quieten our minds and kind of stay with something that we know is of something higher than ourselves. Maybe be aware of when we start thinking negative. When that old thought come back, maybe put it on hold, put it somewhere, and create a whole new way of thinking. Keep yourself active and doing something. And this is what I have found in working with our healing arts, is that music, in the right word, music tends to bring heal that raw emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and especially music without words. You see,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was going to ask you to leave us with something that would help this young man or a person like him, a person that's holding on, how to heal his mind or the mind.
Right. Well, one thing I'm going to say, I'm going to challenge them
Mm-hmm.
because in life, everything is a challenge. The good things in life are not easy.
Mm-hmm.
The bad things in life come easy, but the
Mm-hmm.
good things in life don't come so easy. So it's a challenge. So
Mm-hmm.
I, Dr. Lewis, and every other healthy minded person
Mm-hmm.
challenge all listeners. If you can try this, you've been trying the other things that's not working for you. And that's what you have to hear today. What you've been trying, how you've chosen to deal hasn't been working. So
Right.
today I challenge you to try this. Forgive. And I want you to turn in your Bible when you get a moment to the book of Matthew, chapter 5. And I'm going to read it before I close
Mm-hmm.
out. Listen what it says. Matthew 5 and 44. But I say unto you, love your enemies. That's the ones that have hurt you and caused you pain. Bless them that curse you, and do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. So, what I say to you today is that I challenge you. Your healing is at the end of your forgiveness to whoever or whatever has caused you the most pain. And the challenge is, as though the devil is going to make you think you're giving them that and they're getting away with murder, that's not the case. They
Mm-hmm.
have to answer to God for whatever they've done to you. But that's no longer your focus. Your focus is what you're needing to get from God so you can move on and be healed and go heal someone else and
Mm-hmm.
have joy and
Mm-hmm.
know that they didn't take nothing from you. Actually, they caused you to go to your heavenly Father. All
Mm-hmm.
this pain has made you realize you can't get past this without him. God.
Right. Okay then. Okay, you're always on target, healing the mind. So I wanted to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank my co-host, Reverend Dr. Corey Wilson, for sharing his knowledge and his thoughts and his being on today. So I'm just going to say, please go to wrc-houston.com, sign up to be a visitor on our website, a subscriber, and also sign up to be a mental health coach. You can do something wonderful for your community by getting trained, but also by going out and helping someone else, sharing your ideas, sharing your experiences. So I'm just going to say renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. I'll see you same place, same time, same station, God willing. Have a good week.